You recognize that tune, and you know it's time for Relics Radio. This is a family-friendly show, so the entire family can join us as we talk metal detecting and relic hunting. You can call into the show at 270-495-0315 or join in the chat and post any comments or questions you might have, and we'll get to as many of them as we can. You're listening to Relics Radio of Southern Kentucky and Middle Tennessee. All right, we're live again from the foothills of the Cumberland Mountains in southern Kentucky and Middle Tennessee, and we've got a great show lined up tonight for all of you diggers out there, especially the Civil War diggers. Got a very special guest, Sam Waters with CWPPO, and that stands for Civil War Preservation Project of Ohio, and so I know that we're going to have a great show. I am Digging with Seven, your host and co-host.
And I'm Tennessee Jeff, co-host.
Yeah,
so,
Mutt and Jeff.
I see we have Ohio Relic Hunter in here, Death Digger. There's Matt Purdue. Hello, Matt. Paul Forsay, Dennis. I already said Ohio Relic Hunter. So there's Dave Miller. We got Dave in the house.
We got a full house, sure do. And
and they keep coming in.
Yeah, and I don't know if you guys know it or not. And Sam is in with us. You're there, aren't you, Sam?
Yep, I'm here.
Oh, good. I tell you what, I've been so anxious about this show right here because Civil War relic hunting is a passion of Tennessee Jeff and myself. And John Hunt Morgan he's really an idol to me. And, I love the history that is associated with that. And, we've branched out, Jeff, on the show. I was looking at our stats and everything, our geo stats. We got listeners in the U.S., in Canada, in Australia, in United Kingdom, in Malta, in the Netherlands, and in Germany. And I can only imagine some character sitting over in the Netherlands listening to two rednecks with a metal detector and how much that they would laugh. But we've got another.
That's right.
Go ahead.
I couldn't pronounce half of them. I was like, "Where's that at?" And I had to get on the globe just to look, and I couldn't find it on the globe, so I had to go just Google it, and then that helped out. So, but yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of listeners from all over the world. It sounds like so.
Yeah, and those people, they because of the difference in time and everything, they wouldn't be live with us, but they're listening undoubtedly, and you notice on the stats that they're listening on the archive videos or podcast and everything. But welcome to...
Yeah, we got Jeff Ford in the house.
Oh, yeah. Welcome to the show, Sam, to Relics Radio. We appreciate you being on here tonight. And, the obvious question is how did CWPPO get started? What was your thoughts in all of that?
Well, as many Ohioans, and this is kind of strange, but a lot of us didn't even know that Civil War happened in Ohio. I actually seen in the newspaper about a sesquicentennial festival of Morgan's Raiders. And there was a marker in Carroll County, and I had to go see it. I couldn't make it to the event, but I had to go see it. And behind that marker was about an acre of land. And I'm thinking, I wonder if there's anything left in this ground. Just thinking maybe the battle was there. You kind of picture it in your head. So I emailed the Carroll County Historical Society, and I'm like, well, this is a long shot. They're never going to let me in. But the president of it absolutely, gave me the opportunity to go in and do that. So every weekend for about 2 months, I'm out here checking this acre field by myself. And on the very last day, in the very corner of this field, I found a ring. And the ring looked to be lead. I thought it was a tractor part. I'm like, hey, this looks kind of funny. You know, there's some red in it. It kind of looks like rubies. Wasn't sure. Went and had it checked out, and it was authenticated to be a Civil War era bullet that was trench art, basically, that was made into a ring and embedded with rubies. It even had the scrape marks in it, you know, from how they gouged it out to fit the finger. And I went over to the landowner, which was across the street, and I actually told him what I found. And he said, "What are you doing over there? The battle happened in my backyard. You need to be over here." And so I started to talk to him a little bit. He had 500 acres. I'm like, how am I going to do this myself?
Oh.
And I started to reach out on Facebook, and had a lot of people interested to come in and help do this. And they knew everything they found was going to be donated. You know, it was for, you know, history's sake, to try to find out where the bullets were, what the movements were, what was the flow, you know, where was everybody? Because most of the stories up here are just speculation. You know, they have grandma said this, so that gets put into a story. No, my grandma said this, so this gets into a story. And then you have a lot of different stuff. So we kind of what we did is we went in, and where we located the stuff, we had a flow map. We, you know, we knew which way they went through. We had it all gridded off, you know, A through D and 1 through 4. And I dropped, you know, strategically, I dropped 10 to 15, you know, groups of people all over the place. And mainly the section of C3 was where the battle basically happened. And I put more people in there because that's where they thought it was. And they actually we were able to tell that the Union were up on, it's like a bowl. It was like a bowl in there. When you walk down into this property, it's like you went back in time. It's so quiet down there. It's just a big bowl in woods. It's all open. But dropped Union bullets were found around the rim of this bowl. Shot Union bullets were found in the middle. And then we were finding shot Confederate bullets, you know, up around the rim, and then dropped in fields and such in the middle. So that kind of told us that they were flanked there. The Confederates went through the middle of the bowl. The Union came up around, and the coolest thing was the hill that met behind the landowner's property, which matched the story. The one of her grandfather that lived there was that they were captured there, but the Union shot bullets followed their trail up the hill. It was just amazing. We found some bullets and stuff there, a couple scabbard tips in the middle. But we were able to just lay everything out, map it, and say exactly what happened there. I mean, that single ring that I found was down across the street at a watering hole. And in the story, that's where Morgan had his horses hid. And there was a 16-year-old slave boy that was down there with him. His name was Sam. But in that vicinity was where that ring was found. So it's just kind of cool that you know that it was Confederate and it was dropped there. It's just an amazing thing where you read the stories, you have all these thoughts of what happened, but it's that relic that tells the story. And what helped them do is they were, you know, since we were able to prove that they were actually there, they had the relics, it helped the county, you know, get funding for markers, grounds cleanups, anything that they needed, because they have the proof now that they were there. It's almost like, I don't know, it's just really cool to be able to go in and do that and be able to leave a good, you know, a good taste in their mouth, I guess to say, so that you go to the next site, you had people to call and be like, yeah, you know, they did this for us and they could do this for you. And, you know, they turned everything over. They were very professional. They filled in all their holes. The first dig, there was a lot of questions on, okay, how do I do this? I went from just me to about 160 people showing up. There was a lot of planning, lot of strategic stuff. I had a land coordinator. I was out there almost every weekend meeting with the landowners. It was about an hour and a half away. So I spent a lot of time there. It was kind of like a self-funding thing. I don't try to get funding from, you know, historical societies, because then you get put off. It puts them in a bind. You know, sometimes they have the funding, sometimes they don't. So there was a lot of like the donation type thing to help pay for lodging and such in the first dig. So the second dig it was a little bit different. It was like, okay, stay where you want. You're buying your own food. Just get here and help out. And we had it was a lot less stress on me, I think. But the second dig, 2016, it occurred in Morgan County. It was a beautiful site, beautiful landowners. But our main missions on that site I talked with David Mowery. He's the author of Morgan's Great Raid. He actually says, okay, here's a map. Here's where I think this is, and this is what I'd like you to figure out. So after the first dig, he's giving me all this information that helps me when I go to a site, and I don't know, what really happened there, and it saves the research time. But the main mission that we had was to locate buried Confederate soldier Tommy McGee. He was actually shot across the river, across Muskingum River at Island Run. He was traveling with Duke's men, who was Morgan's side. He was there with Morgan. It's actually his brother-in-law. He was shot at Island across the river. He came across the river, shot on a horse, and he actually died on the McElhaney farm. And the story goes that the Confederates hastily buried him, just covered him with rocks and carved on just a stone his name and his regiment and everything, and then they left because they were being pursued. And then that's where the story gets a little funny, where the landowner reburied him, and then they had to move him because the river was flooding, or they moved him because they put the road in, or there was just a bunch of different stories, that they moved him because they didn't want grave robbers to come in. But what we were able to do was locate him via GPR. We had Frank Lupergolo from New Jersey, the DA guy. He was just wonderful with this thing. He found Tommy McGee before my presentation started on that Friday. It was about 10 to 3. My presentation was at 3, and he comes in. He holds up his phone, and he says, "We found him." And, for a second, everybody disappeared. All I seen was that phone, and I just start crying. I had to leave the room, and my presentation was getting ready to start, and I'm like, "You're just going to have to wait." I had to gather my thoughts. We found this soldier that has been lost since he was basically buried. So the story that was correct was that the pipeliners were coming through. And when they came down through, it's a little morbid, they kicked up his body, and they actually reburied him. And the way that he could tell was the burial in the GPR scan matched what they would have done in the 1920s and the 1930s. So that's when the pipeline went through. So that's the story. And all the other ones are just gone. We were able to find out where he was.
And
so,
for those of you,
do you have any questions?
Well, for those people that don't know, that's ground penetrating radar is what was used.
Yeah.
And those things are, they're used to, you just scan that over the ground, and you're actually getting a wide berth of returns, and it charts that out, and they are very, very reliable. What an amazing story. And, you're right. Whenever you're looking for a site, you was talking about the Carroll County site, you found the ring, and then the landowner said, well, the battle happened in my backyard, You hear all of these stories about this happened here, that happened there, and there'll be a sign put up. And that's kind of the situation I do. I have the privilege of hunting John Hunt Morgan's first battle, the first raid into Kentucky, which was July. Well, he actually left Knoxville on July the 4th and came into Tompkinsville, Kentucky on July the 9th, and his first battle was against the 9th Pennsylvania Cavalry. Now, he just made a swath up through Kentucky and came back down, and then he did the same thing in the Christmas raid of 1862. But when he came into Ohio was in 1863. It was in July of 1863, and a lot of people may not know that was a 1,000-mile trip on horseback and on foot. That is a long way to travel back in 1863.
Yeah,
and it wasn't really.
And
it wasn't authorized by Bragg. Bragg told him not to go across the Ohio River. But what Morgan was trying to do, Morgan was trying to sabotage all the railroads and just create mayhem in Kentucky and break up the supply line for Bragg, which was down at Nashville, down at in Jeff's backyard. And if they could do that, then Bragg could have come across the Ohio River and just kind of split the Union forces and concentrated everything, took the war to the north, really. And it would have been completely different. But Bragg was always worried to go ahead and move. And really, Morgan got frustrated with it. And then in July of 1863, he went across the Ohio River. And then the history gets in your backyard there, Sam.
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. You find that ring, and also you've got a landowner comes up. No, it happened in my backyard, and then you get permission to hunt that backyard. See, if that happened to me, he'd be like, "It happened in my backyard, but no, I don't allow any metal detecting." So that's the way it would happen to me. So, but yeah. I mean, that's great that you're doing all this, and that was the little bowl you was talking about. That is awesome that y'all found that, and then you can tell a story. I mean, like you said, your grandmother one grandmother would say this, and the grandfather would say this, and you never could put a true story to it. But now with what you're doing with the CWPPO, you can put a story behind it and then prove that it happened. So,
and the relics don't lie. You can hear all these stories, but whenever you find dropped Union bullets on the crest of that bowl, then you know that they were firing from there, and then you found the fired Union bullets in the bottom, and then you find dropped infills in the bottom of the bowl, and then fired infills on the top. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out where the battle was and where the people were,
Right. Yeah, a few other stories that his name's David McMahon. He's the president of the Historical Society there in Carroll County. He actually had a story that he was partial to. He said there was one particular soldier that was supposed to have been following a fence line and got knocked off his horse. He said he had to have been carrying some stuff. So I want you to check that hill. It's 500 acres. You cut that in half. I had to check 200 acres. But about where he said it was, I found a spill of small, they looked like 22 bullets, but they were just pistol bullets. That's where he had to have fallen off the horse. When you scan around and you're all metal, you found parts of the fencing. It right there is where he fell. It was just unbelievable to hold them bullets. And I think I found 14 of them there. And to know that that's where a soldier was knocked off his horse. It was just unreal.
Man. That's great. Ohio relic hunter, he said one great story was a woman's husband hid the horses in the holler, and Morgan's men came onto the farm, threatened to burn down the house if they didn't surrender the horses. Woman said, "Burn away, boys. The horses are worth more than the house." So that's pretty good.
Yeah, a lot of those stories are definitely funny.
They are funny.
When you read. Yeah, you read the stories and you kind of put yourself in their place, and it's like, wow, did that really happen? Like the woman that actually lived in the Sharps farm, I believe they said her name was Sarah. You can sure imagine her. She's standing out in the yard, and she's kind of in the road, and there's three horses that are just, with Confederate men, I'm just flying by her, and they hear bullets flying. They had bullets go through the house. It takes you back into that time, But even though the property kind of looks different because they did a lot of logging, when they took down the trees and they took them out back at the sawmill to cut them up, they were so full of lead that they couldn't even use the wood. They just burn it right where it's at.
Yeah, and
how long did this battle go on?
I believe that one was, oh goodness, an hour and a half. I think for the first dig, I think that was an hour and a half there.
And for those of you that don't know, up in Carroll County and I guess the adjoining county of, and I don't know if I'm saying this right, Columbiana.
Yep, that's it.
Okay, that's where Morgan was finally captured, and then he was taken off to Well, he had 700 of his men that were captured prior to him, probably in Carroll County. And then Morgan was captured a little bit later, and then he was sent to prison, and 3 months later actually escaped and went back to the Confederate lines. But those of you that don't know the layout of Ohio, and I didn't until I researched it a little bit, Carroll County is in about the middle of the eastern side of Ohio. And that was the Sharps farm that you're talking about in 2015, right, where you found the ring. And then the hunt in 2016 was in Morgan County, which is in the southeast quadrant of Ohio. And that's where Thomas Milton McGee grave was found, right?
Right.
Amazing, I tell you. And then
it is amazing. And he found him before your presentation. So, I mean, that was some quick work.
And I had to gather my thoughts and gather myself to go back in and try to give a presentation while I was weeping for, I don't know, I just felt so much when he told me that.
I'm sure.
It was really overwhelming. Now we want to do a rededication ceremony for him, and I'm working with there's a Sons of the Confederacy around Chillicothe area, I believe, was the closest chapter. They want to come in and do a rededication ceremony. I got to get with the Morgan County Historical Society, contact any family that might want to be there. I'm going to try to get that. I don't know. I wanted to do it in May of this year, but it's just taken a little bit longer. What they want to do is there's a neighboring guy. It's on the Morris farm that wanted to donate like an acre of property with a turnaround, and then they want to put a marker in there because it's way too dangerous to walk down to see the grave. It was very treacherous for people just to go up and scan it. I mean, poor Frank was thrown into a big gator and was just, he thought they were going to tip over a couple times. He just wasn't used to that, but the guy driving was. And the really cool thing about his grave site there was that every year white violets grow on it. It did nowhere on the property do those flowers grow, but on his grave.
That's amazing.
Man, that is awesome. Yeah, that is amazing.
Now
I would love to come and see that sometime.
Yeah, we're hoping to get that in this year.
There is a marker there, right?
There's a marker down. Oh yeah, they actually put a newer headstone in the 20s and the 30s, but they wasn't sure after that because of the movement of the body later. There was just too many stories to actually say where he was, but there is a marker there.
And are y'all looking at maybe putting something else there, fencing a spot in around that grave or anything like that?
I think he said it would probably be too dangerous to try to do that because then people would want to actually go down. But what they're going to do is just have a pull around at the top of the hill and then have a marker put in up there.
Oh, okay.
And I've been trying. If anybody can help do some research to find a photo of Thomas Milton McGee, that would be great. I've been looking, since 2016 to try to find one, and I have not found one.
Well, I'll look on. I subscribe to, and it costs a little bit of money, but as much Civil War research as we do, I paid, and I'm on Fold 3, and you can get, I can get papers on him where, maybe he was sick or maybe missing, and there's all kind of correspondence and everything, and, pictures are hard to find. But I do know that he was in the 2nd Kentucky Cavalry in Company H.
Right.
And I suspect he was a Kentucky boy, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we did some research on him because one of the stories claimed that it wasn't Tommy buried there, that it was a guy named Frederick Rolfe. 3 years after the the Civil War happened, somebody went back and requested to see the grave of Frederick Rolfe. Now, we had to do some research. There was no Frederick Rolfe that served in the Kentucky 2nd Cavalry, but there was a Thomas Milton McGee. So it just went with that story that removed the Frederick Rolfe story completely. So what David Mowry likes about this is he's got all these stories in the books that he's writing. He can go back and change the story, to what we found, and how we were able to prove certain stuff, so he can get his information right, and then the right stories will be out there.
That is great.
Yeah, it's great because so much history is, it's based on, old tales that were told. Like you said, this person said this and this person said that, and a lot of times those don't pan out. But whenever you get boots on the ground like you have done, and what an amazing job that y'all are doing. I mean, just the grave part of it. If that was all that the CWPPO accomplished, it was a great success. But then in Carroll County, you're on the Sharps farm there, you're able to diagram out the location of all the troops and everything. Kudos to all of you guys. And, Tennessee Jeff and I, we want to come up and help on that in 2018, if at all possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
if all possible.
Absolutely.
I would love
to.
So,
yeah,
of course, we've got some more listeners in I need to shout out to. We've got there's Bill Hayes. Hey, there's Mike. Missouri Mike's in the house. I seen Barb in there earlier. I don't know where she went. I hadn't seen any comments here lately. There's a few more. There's Earl. He's in the house now. So we appreciate all the listeners. I mean, we couldn't do this without you guys. So, no. But I mean, you see. You hearing Sam? She's got some good things going on up there at CWPPO. So, I mean, y'all need to check her Facebook page really out and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, you're doing just a yeoman's job. There's no doubt about it. Everything that you're doing. Tell us a little bit about the 2017 hunt in Jackson County. And by the way, these hunts are going from the northeast. They're all going south. Which Jackson County wouldn't be that far from us. And, if that trend continues, it wouldn't be much a drive for me and Jeff to come up. But anyway, tell us a little bit about the 2017 hunt.
Okay. Well, I originally planned on going back to Morgan County because there was still some information we needed to get. In the story, they said they crossed Muskingum River and then they split, one going left onto a neighboring farm and then one onto the McElhenney farm, where they call the Raiders farm now. We were able to find the smaller shot bullets and a few larger caliber bullets out behind the neighboring farm, which kind of to us says, yeah, they went that way. And in the McElhenney, they said that they went to the tavern. They were there for a little while, and then they were supposed to have went up the hill and then met up where they call Route 10. They were supposed to have met up there. Now, we found a few things around the tavern and behind the tavern, but as soon as you hit the woods, nothing. The landowners actually want to go out and brush hog a lot of that, so that originally was our plan for 2017. But while we were in New Richmond giving a presentation, there was a gentleman there named Ed Smith from Chillicothe who said, listen, there's a site in Jackson County. You need to get in before you can't get in anymore. And I'm like, what do you mean? He said this was a big battle, and they're going to slate it all historical. Nobody will ever be able to get in, and the landowner wants to try to get these relics out because he's a historian. He's the only historian that's done a lot of information down there. His name's Ron Salmon, and he knows everything about the area. And he had his theory on what happened there, with the Raiders and with the Union forces. And what was happening was they were going to slate it historical due to the town wanting it that way. So we only had till December. So that's where we ended up having to go. So in this one, they actually was the city of, Wellston, sorry. And it was just in the middle where they used to call Berlin Crossing. And it was between, Runckel's men had actually come down on the train to stop the Morgan's forces from coming up that way. So the battle was basically in his backyard, and all of Berlin would have been just plastered with stuff. So we decided to grid this one off the way it was laid out. His story basically is what we found. He believed that they did come down through the woods. We did find some bullets, and we have certain sections that we had. Now, Section 4, we had put Bill Marsh and his crew, didn't really find a lot of Civil War relics, but they were in the section below it, which changes the landowner's theory to, instead of going up through those woods, they came down into the yard. One of the greatest significant finds was they called a stylus. It was almost just a pencil made out of lead. It had a hole in the end so that you could hang it on something. And you could dip it in berries, ink, blood, whatever you needed to write with. Right. They found that. I think it was Carolyn Harwick out of Florida that found that. We had a best finds contest thing going on, and she won that for that find. She had he had it authenticated and everything, but there were a lot of different types of caliber bullets. There were some flat bottom Tennessee bullets, which was real exciting. Across the road where Morgan's men would have been, they had found a bullet back there, and it escapes my head. I can't remember who found that back there. I think it was one of the Hoover boys. When Ron first saw that, he said, "Oh man, this is a Union bullet. That means the man at Chillicothe was right. This relic is a Confederate." And there was somebody in the crew who said, "Oh no, that's a Confederate bullet," and he lit up. He's an older guy, and he just lit up. He's like, I was right. So his theory was absolutely right. He had originally found some cannonballs in his yard, just digging a trench and stuff. So he believes there's still some up in the corner part of his property, and we actually are going to go back there at some time because he's got his tractor fixed, and he's going to go up and brush hog what we called Section 6 and Section 8, where he believes that there are cannonballs. Up the road, there was a wagon tip. We're still trying to make connections there. So when we go back to that, it won't be a full-blown event like what we typically do. It'll just be a small group, that can go out and hammer it and get it done. I'd rather have a big, full, fun site, for a lot of people with a lot of opportunity to find stuff than go back to where we've already been.
Right. Right.
But it turned out good.
We're coming up on a hard break right here. I'm going to put y'all on mute for just a minute, and we're going to try and pay some bills here with a message from our buddy Tim Henderson. If your passion is metal detecting, then you know how much your success is based on the equipment you use. Let my buddy Tim Henderson of Murray Branch Outdoors in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, help you with that. Tim is an authorized dealer of Garrett, XP Deus, Tesoro, and macro detectors and supplies. He also carries a variety of aftermarket coils. Murray Branch Outdoors is not only competitive in their prices, but the service after the sale is second to none. We've all experienced those situations where we purchase a new detector and then we get out in the field and we have questions about settings or operation of that particular detector. Well, I tell you what, with your purchase from Murray Branch Outdoors, you're also going to get Tim's personal cell phone number. That's right, his own cell phone number, and you're just a quick phone call away from getting answers to those questions. Now try that with some chain store purchase of a detector. Murray Branch Outdoors also deals in used detectors, and he'll give you top dollar for your trade-in whenever you decide to upgrade. So give Tim of Murray Branch Outdoors a call at 615-948-4611 and tell him Relics Radio said hey. Sam, some of the research that I did on Morgan and his Ohio raid was that his men were ill-equipped with firepower. Most of them, all they had was Colt 44s. Some of them were trying to use infills, and that's a long rifle. That's an infantry rifle. That's not a cavalry type gun. So finding the normal Gallaghers and things like that would be cavalry rifles, is probably not something that is going to be too plentiful at those sites. But tell us just a little bit about the type of bullets that you guys are finding in Carroll County, Morgan County, and Jackson County.
Well, they kind of range from all over. Like I said, the flat bottom Tennessee bullets, they had, let's see, I'm looking at this photo, 69 caliber, 54, 44, 36, the 32 and 30 calibers. See, on the 2017 dig, the landowner actually told me this afterwards. He called and let me know that everything was authenticated. The smaller bullets came from Runkle's men. They were a lot of them were dropped. They actually carried 4 pistols. They had 2 on their hips and 2 on their chest. So that explains a lot about why we were finding a lot of these shot small bullets. We were waiting on bigger bullets, but it just makes sense because those were the weapons that they were actually carrying.
Yeah, I'd read that about them carrying 4 pistols, and that was a smaller caliber. And for those of you that don't know, that 54 caliber, that's a 54 caliber Tennessee. It's a flat base bullet, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And those are rare in our area here. We have, I think I may have found 2 of those. Now, we find a few conical base or cavity base 54 calibers here that are like the regulation 58 calibers. But that flat base 54, I think I found 2 on this site that Morgan was on here. So that's kind of a rare bullet in our area here.
Yeah, we had.
It is.
We
I don't know if I've
them.
ever found one.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Sam.
I didn't even know that type of bullet existed. Like I said, I'm learning a lot about this kind of stuff and a lot about the bullets. But we had the experts that show up there, and then we had the gentleman that authenticated them was there. I think the last day we were there, and then our second visit up. So he was real excited about that. But we found the shot one up on the hill where Runkle's men would have been, and the dropped one across the road where Morgan's men would have been. So it just absolutely makes his theory correct.
And it's amazing.
It's great when you can put a story together like that. I mean, that's pretty awesome. And, of course, you find a relic. A lot of times you find a relic, well, it shouldn't be there. But after you go through the records and then do your research, well, actually that relic should have been there. You just didn't know it at the time. So. Right.
Yeah, and you never know what you're going to find on these. It's just, that's the fun part.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that's what gets a lot of people in the metal detecting. I mean, you never know what that next signal is going to be. And I mean, it could be a gold coin, and then we'll get into that in a few minutes. But, I mean, or it could be a great silver coin. But, I mean, you could be like Jeff Ford. I mean, of course, his big silver hoard that him and Wes has found. I mean, of course, you never know when you're going to run over that find of a lifetime.
And that ring, ring that you found, that kind of got this whole thing started, didn't it?
It did. And had I not found that, this would not have kicked off like this. Every year, I mean, it seems like, well, this is the 3rd year. I have landowners coming to me. It's almost a little easier now. Hey, I got property over here. Here's some places. I have places in other states that people want me to come and check, and it's a little difficult. I would love to bump it up to 2 digs a year, but that might be a little bit too busy. But there's so many areas that opened up, and it's just, whoever calls and says, I've got some property, we go check it out, maybe do a quick scan, read into it, see how much action was there. If they just camp there one night, there's not going to be a whole lot of stuff. There's no missions to accomplish. There's nothing to really find other than, a few relics, which is great, but it's not really a story that we're trying to figure out. So I would do that, on the side. But so bouncing around along this trail is we're just landing where the best probability it is to come up with a story that solidifies it.
And it would be a lifetime endeavor to take that whole trail. It would take literally thousands of detectorists to cover all that ground and put that whole puzzle together.
Right.
Because some places are going to have, they might have camped for a day there and drop a few things.
Right.
And then it may be 10 miles before
Mm-hmm.
you find anything else, and you really don't know which direction to go.
Right. There was something that funny that, well, I thought it was funny, happened on the first year right before the dig. The Morgan's Trail went from, western Ohio to eastern Ohio. It's 1,100 miles long. And I had people calling me while I was out metal detecting, hey, somebody's at your site, somebody's digging the site. And I'm like, what do you mean? If there's a video online, they're digging the Morgan site. And I'm like, do you have any idea how long the trail is? They weren't on my site at all. They were clear across state. It was, so I kind of had to explain it to them, that the trail was very long and our site was secure. And there's going to be sites that people have hit. I mean, it isn't a big secret to people that metal detect that might know the history in certain areas. We go in the sites we've been on. The first one, I was the landowners were under the impression that that they didn't allow anybody in there to metal detect, and we found out later that 2 local men had been metal detecting it for 10 years, and it was a big bummer. Yes, what did they find and take out of there? It was very discouraging. The guy even showed up while we were there. What are you doing? I've been coming here for years. He told the landowner he's been hunting, but they thought he meant coon hunting or deer hunting, and that's not what he meant at all. So it was a slap in the face to the landowners for sure. The second site, to their knowledge, and they've lived there for years, her ancestors lived there. Nobody's ever really had a detector out there. Ron's site, just last year in Jackson County, he detects as well as his son, and they detected the yard, and they made that us well aware of that. But up in the woods, he's an older guy, so he didn't really get up there too much. But we like to ask, has anybody ever been there? What have you found? It's just nice to know what we're up against.
Then we've got a question from Dump Site Digger. He was asking, do you need a pulse machine in the soil in Ohio for the CWPPO sites?
I think they talked about that to try to find some of those deeper cannonballs. I don't know too much about the pulse machines, but they had a couple there. We had put, I think, Blistol guys in section 1, which was right at the landowners where they've already found 3 cannonballs. And then they had, what were they called? They were Garrett,
ATX.
Okay. Yeah. ATX. Yeah. So we had that there too.
But
it's always useful.
Yeah. That's me and Jeff hunt with GPXs. And if we come, we would certainly bring them. But we've got a caller come in.
Okay.
Who we got on the line?
Okay.
Hey, Seven, this is Data Digger. Hey, Jeff. Hey, Sam. I hope y'all doing good tonight.
Hey, doing great.
I got a quick question. I know that the part of you're talking about in Ohio is kind of close to West Virginia, and West Virginia separated, right after the start of the Civil War from Virginia. But was there any Confederate sympathizers in that area that wanted to stay with the Confederacy or stay with, in that area? That you're aware of, or was it they were all for the Union, or?
I'll put that to you,
Well, there were
Sam.
a lot of people that helped the Confederates because they were just feared for their lives. There were a lot of people that housed them so that they wouldn't burn them down or rob them. They fed them. But a lot of people hid. A lot of people hid their stuff. And in the stories, like in the Lisbon area of Columbia County, a lot of people hid their stuff in the woods, and only half the people remembered where they buried it. So there could be, there's just a lot of different takes in from the stories. But they helped them when they were there, just to get them through quickly.
And I don't think
so there's no telling what all is up in there then. There's no telling what's hiding around in that area.
Well, the leader of the Copperheads actually had a house in Lisbon. He actually was working with and for the Confederates, and he was caught, and they dressed him in civilian clothes, I believe, or Union, so that nobody would know that he was working with the Confederates, or they'd have shot him. So he did have some contacts around here.
Well, that's very interesting. Well, thank you so much for taking my call. I just wanted to ask a question, and I'll let you guys get back to it. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks for calling in.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks.
Okay, bye-bye.
Sam, you might get Evan to call in. That's your fiance, and he's your sidekick in all this and helps you out.
Yeah, he helped a lot in the last dig. He's calling in now.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Have we got you on?
So okay.
Have we
Did
got
you answer it?
Have we got you on, Evan?
Yeah. Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey, it's going great.
How's it going, Evan?
Y'all got
Great.
Y'all got a great deal going on up there. I tell you what, kudos to all of you.
You really do.
Yeah,
I was
I'm
telling
happy to be part of
Sam
it.
earlier. I was telling Sam earlier that my wife had went twice with me relic hunting, and then of course she was miserable the 2 times she went, and then even after finding Civil War bullets. So, but I mean, of course, y'all are engaged now, and then congratulations on that. And
Thank you.
It must be nice to have somebody you can go relic hunting with like that. So.
Yeah, it's a pretty unique situation. It's awesome because if we're both wanting something to do, we don't discuss it. We just get our gear out and hit the road. We've both been doing this since we're kids, and we're very passionate about it, and that's what we're doing in our spare time.
Well, you don't live in Ohio. You live in heaven.
Yeah. Absolutely.
If you're looking for something for you and your lady to do, and you both just grab detectors and go, yeah, you're living in heaven, ain't you, Jeff?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, you look at Valentine's Day, Christmas, birthdays. I mean, you could just buy her something for metal detecting, and I mean, you can use it too, man. Seven, we're doing something wrong, buddy.
I don't know. Yeah. How did each one of you guys get into metal detecting?
Oh,
well-
actually, my dad started me on the metal detecting when I was 12. I wasn't allowed to run the machine at that time. I had to dig all the holes. So I'm a pro at digging a plug.
That's good.
And then, I kind of got away from it a little bit, but then I got back into it, and it took off from there. I mean, I was hitting sites that nobody's ever been at, just recovering things that I didn't even know what this stuff was. I found a 3-cent piece in a field that I've been detecting, and I'm calling my dad, going, "What did I find?" Since I was 12.
How about you, Evan? How'd you get started in it?
When I was, I think 12 or 13, my great grandparents or my great grandmother had a 100-acre farm in Delaware County, and her husband had passed, but years back, as the story went, he lost a big gold wedding ring with some diamonds in it, and they said maybe when he was feeding the chickens, like it slipped off. So my dad, kind of started off like a joke, like, well, we'll just get Evan a metal detector and send him out and see if he can find it. And so they got me one, and I kind of took to it. I looked for that ring clear up through high school. I never did find it, but I found all sorts of other things. And from there on out, I just kept upgrading. That was just I think it was a Radio Shack model, or it was like a bounty hunter equivalent. And then just slowly upgraded as I could afford to, but it's just something I've always enjoyed.
And
So we always ask this on the everybody that's on the podcast. Do y'all have a favorite find? Or best find?
Okay.
I know yours, Sam.
I have two. Well, it's kind of a toss-up with that ring that kicked off this whole Civil War hunt, but I found a U.S. belt buckle. So my favorite relic was that, and that was actually around Jewett, Ohio, in Harrison County. Now, I know that there was some Civil War action there. I still have to get with the Historical Society to find out what all happened. but they did travel through there at one point, and I found one in a yard, and I wanted to do history on the house, and I never got around to it because I never met with the guy yet. But non-relic would be the 1839 gold coin.
Imagine that.
If y'all haven't seen that video of that, I mean, you need to go to her YouTube channel and look at that video. I mean, of course, it's a great coin. I mean, and you can tell how she loves the coin. I mean, of course, anybody would love that coin. So,
what
about your?
It had a.
Or go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
You can go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, go ahead, Sam.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you the story because it's too funny not to. When I first dug that plug, I don't even remember where everybody was. Justin Stoley was right behind me digging something, and Brandon Stewart was around the front, and I think Bill Marsh was around the left side of me. I don't even really remember. But I dug the plug, and at first it looked like a Canadian dollar, like the gold-colored type of Canadian dollar. And I just stood up, and I opened my hand, and the dirt just fell off of her face. And as soon as that happened, I went back on my knees. And I looked around, and I couldn't even really talk, and I'm going, Justin! And I'm holding it in my hand, and I'm crying, and he's like, oh, my gosh, did you hurt yourself? I'm like, no, get the camera. So, and then after that, I don't really remember a whole lot. I had to watch the video to even remember, but they did have to help me up and get me to my truck. So yeah, greatest thing ever as far as non-relic. I'm not much of a coin hunter, but that was awesome.
That's a good story, and then I would have been the same way if I'd found one. So, but what about you, Evan? What is yours?
Well, I'd say my all-time favorite non-relic find would have to be Sam's.
There you go. Smart man.
That ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work. We ain't gonna let that. We ain't gonna let that
work. So, I think, if I'm excited about anything new I find that I haven't found prior, but I think the greatest feeling I ever found after finding something was my grandfather lost a wedding band, and I was probably in my 20s. And he lost it out in the yard, and I was able to find it for him. And that, to me, was something I always remember. But I'm more, I'm always looking for something I haven't found. So, like right now, I think my favorite find was last year I got my first Great Bust large cent. It was a 1803. So that's my favorite recent find, I think. But it's always changing. It's a thrill to hunt for me.
Yeah. What's on your bucket list, Evan?
That's good.
At the top of it.
The 20 cent piece, that's going to be like way up there. Got to get a gold coin, so that way me and Sam both have one of those. Those are up at the top.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to be in a relationship, isn't it? Whenever she's bested you on the gold coin, you got to kind of draw even there.
We go out, and sometimes she slays it, and I walk out with nothing, and sometimes vice versa. But we always enjoy getting out, regardless of whether we find anything or not. So it works out just fine.
Yeah, that's the way with me and Jeff. We hunted Tuesday, and at the first of the hunt, I found really quite a bit more than he did, and he wrapped up the day with the find of the day. So, it goes that way. I'm going to ask both of you a loaded question, though. I don't mean to put a monkey wrench in your relationship, but who is the better detectors?
I'm going to say Sam. Yeah, definitely Sam.
That's because of the gold coin, right?
Yeah. I tell you what, I hadn't talked to Evan but just a few minutes, but I can tell you are a very smart man.
Oh, he is. I'm sitting here thinking that, man. He's popping them good answers off right and left. I mean, that's pretty good.
I think we're both very experienced, and we make a great team.
Yeah. Yep.
We both think very differently about things, and I think that's a huge advantage because, the way I go and read a field site, she might read it differently. And collectively, I think we've got an advantage there. We can combine thoughts and kind of put the site together,
Can you elaborate on that? I mean, how do you approach a site differently than her, or how does she approach one that's different than you?
Well, like the area I primarily hunted in was in northern Delaware County, north of Columbus, and it's basically plains. It's corn and bean fields. Very, not a whole lot of rolling hills or mountains. And I relocated out here, and we're on cellar holes. We're on mountainous regions and valleys and canals. And so, the way I visualize a site, like out in those fields, I can spot a site. I can drive up the road and go, and I know there's a site there. It's a little different out here. So she has way more experience, again, in finding the cellar holes, and I've got more experience on the farm fields. But collectively, there's just so many things to read a site. Like I'm reading trees and, approach ways. You can sometimes see them, all sorts of different things, but I guess we both have different experiences in metal detecting. So collectively, we make a great team, approaching a site and trying to figure out where to hunt.
Yeah, Evan does a lot of the mapping. While he's doing overlays on the mapping, I'm looking up historical book information on that township or on that county, and I'm finding places within the story of what happened, and he could find that area on the map. And we have found a couple groves that way, picnic areas. I found an old park that I didn't even know where it was. We did some research together in different ways, and we were able to find the park. And we're pretty close to permission now, but we kind of just have our own research ways that kind of amps up how we're doing this together. So it's really cool.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know, Evan, if you are aware, there is a program. It was actually made for skiers, and me and Jeff have just started using it. And Heath Jones with a History Seekers podcast, they did a podcast on it, and he did a video. But it's called Maprika. And Jeff, if you could
I've heard of it.
If you put that in the chat there, somebody put a link or something in there. It is the greatest program. I used to try an overlay, and overlay is extremely difficult. But if you get enough reference points on where streams cross and or fork out and the old roads and things, this program will lead you right to the sites. It's the most amazing program that I've ever seen. And then you can,
it's a great site.
Me and Jeff have used it 2 or 3 times, and we've walked right to the sites. Ohio Relic Hunter put it in. It's a map.
Okay, I was trying to get to it, and I wasn't fast enough. So thank you, Ohio Relic Hunter.
What kind of detectors are you guys using? I know, Sam, that you just got an Equinox. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, the whole time that I've been detecting, since I was 12 to now, I've only used White's detectors because my dad always used them, and I know them. This year I wanted to try something different because my MXT is really heavy. It's just, I can't go out for 12 hours. I like to dig from morning till night, so it's really been wearing on me. So I was just kind of waiting for something to just, grab me. I started to see these videos on this Equinox that Brandon Neese was putting out, and recovery speed videos and depth videos, and I got intrigued by that. The more I watched it and the more I learned about it, I wanted one. And I'm using it now. I've probably been out maybe 4 times with it. It is a learning curve because I'm not used to 5 tones. I know you can go in and program it, but I've just been running it in factory settings, keeping my iron as low as possible so I'm not listening to it that much, and I adjust my sensitivity to whatever site we're at. And this thing has been hitting on stuff that my machine has missed. And they're small stuff like like little buttons, little pieces of brass, chunks of stuff that, chunks of brass. It's kind of like nothing when you dig them up and just throw them away. But those small pieces, could be a button. It could be part of a coin. You don't know. But this machine is good. We did a simple depth test. We made a garden test, and we tested a bunch of machines. I think we had like 7 of them.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And we did the Equinox, and then they did the 3030 test. The 3030 kind of matched with the Equinox in depth. It didn't really pick up that Real very well until he did some adjustments, but it didn't hit gold. The Equinox did. I buried a gold chain, and the CTX didn't pick it up. But the Equinox nailed it.
I think just a park setting too, and the Equinox has a gold program, but it slammed on just their run-of-the-mill preset program.
And I know you guys have seen that video of the guy that was on the beach that put the gold chain. It wasn't connected; it was just lengthwise. And most people don't know that a detector on a gold chain is trying to pick up each individual link. That's why they're so hard to find. And I was amazed by that.
Yeah, I didn't know that until you just said that.
It was able to find a silver quarter under a nail. And I know a lot of them can. If the nail is aimed a certain way, you can swing it and hear it, but not the other way. But the Equinox picked it up both ways. It separated it like nothing.
It's fast.
The CTX didn't pick it up. Unbelievable.
I figured it's running so fast. If you're swinging over a silver coin with a nail down the center of it, it's hitting on either side of the coin. I mean, it's fast. It's lightning fast. And then I think being able to run a multi-frequency from, I think it's 5 kilohertz clear up to 40 all at the same time, I think that's why she's pulling all these very, very small items as well as big stuff without having to change frequencies. It's pretty slick.
That is, man. That's doing a lot of stuff just in a little bit of time. I mean, you going from them frequencies like that. And, I mean, it's working hard. And, I mean, it's amazing the technology that is coming out these days. And then, I mean, of course, Seven and I, we run the AT Pro and love the AT Pro. And then, I mean, we know the machine. That is it. I mean, I can read the ground. I can tell a site. And then, I mean, with the Equinox coming out and a few other detectors, and we thought about maybe trying the DAS or something like that. And then, but I mean, we need to maybe just widen our detector arsenal or something.
They're great. They're great machines. I think I would say at the CWPPO hunt, I'd say there was probably more AT Pros than any other machine. They're great machines.
What's your go-to machine, Evan? What are you using most of the time?
Most of the time, I'm probably using my DAS majority of the time right now. I've also got a Bliss Tool V6 that I'll run too. I've got a couple other machines, but those are the two I keep in the car. I like the Bliss Tool in parks because I've kind of figured out a way to go into an old park and pull stuff. Basically, just search for really deep things, and kind of ignore everything else. And it kind of just, for some reason, it gets through all the litter, the modern debris, and I can still, I can tell when I've got a low coin. And then in quiet field sites, I like to run it too.
Yeah, the Bliss Tool. See, I looked at one of them at one time, and does it have a big swing curve? I mean, like learning curve?
Absolutely. I think of all the machines I've ever owned, it's been the most challenging. There's so many dials on it that if you forget something or you bump something, then it'll still run, but it's not going to run, optimum. So there are some sites I won't run it. Like I won't run it out in the woods because the dials get snagged, the knobs get snagged, it gets bumped. There's really no protection for it.
Okay.
It wasn't, I mean, it wasn't horrible to learn, but it's the one that I think, like over the DS I can turn on, I'm very confident with it. The bliss tool, I have to be not rushed. Like I won't do it on a door knock permission or something like that, because, you know, it takes me a lot of time to make sure I've got it ground balanced, it's running stable, and I'm pushing it, you know, I'm pushing the machine to where I'm comfortable where it's running. It just definitely not a beginner machine.
Yeah, I've seen several videos. I mean, of course, it's a great machine and a great tool, but the videos I've seen, you had to get it set just right for the location you're at. And then
Correct.
If you go down the hill, then you have to reset all that again. And I mean,
It'll run,
you know, the soil changes just, I mean, as much as it does.
Right. Yes, I'd agree. If you're moving, you know, if you're moving a lot of area, then yeah, you can tell when it's drifting off. Now mine's got it's the V6 version. It's running more. It's got an automatic stabilizer, and it runs better than most of them. But yeah, you get in your power lines, it will pick up some EMI, and you have to run it on a turbo mode. But yeah, it's a challenging machine, but when I got it set up and I'm confident and I know I've got it set and it's, you know, it sounds like it should sound, I usually have a really good day.
It's an amazing machine from what I hear and from what I've seen. I've never tried to use one. I'm going to put you two guys on the spot because you two have got a Equinox and you've got a XP Deus. Are you comfortable enough with those two machines right now to tell me what you think the strengths and weaknesses between those two machines are?
Yeah, I think, like on the Equinox, the first thing I like better about it than the Deus, that the coil is hardwired. I like that idea because you can submerge the coil without having an antenna. I mean, that machine, you can take 10 feet completely underwater, where the Deus is, you know, it's water resistant. You couldn't submerge it. That's an advantage. The Equinox runs 5 frequencies simultaneously. The Deus, you have to flip through and pick one. So, I mean, to me, the technology is far more advanced. What the Deus has that the Equinox doesn't have, there's a wireless module that transmits between the headphones and the machine. And my guess is that Deus probably still holds a patent on it to where the headphones can't talk directly to the machine. Maybe, you know, possibly, I'm not sure, but to me, it's like one more thing to clip on your belt that, you know, I don't have to worry about that with the Deus. But other than that, I mean, they're both great machines. Our depth tests, you know, we're just comparing machines, throwing some coins in some holes. But as far as the depth tests go, the Equinox smoked the Deus, at least on our tests, and I haven't seen anyone prove otherwise yet. Possibly in different soil conditions, maybe it would do better, but here in our test, what we witnessed, it surpassed it on depth. So it's looking like I'm thinking about getting one. I'll probably always have a Deus, but I'm throwing around the idea of getting one myself.
And on the 800, you are like on the CTX, you're able to go in there and you've got 50 tones and you can break those tones where you want to. Now, the way I understand on the Equinox, on the 600, you can't do that, but on the 800, you can. You can break those tones wherever you want and kind of set them up customize them
Correct.
to
Yep.
your liking.
Yep.
Y-
Yep.
Yeah,
What are you talking about? Go ahead, Evan.
I was just saying we were playing with it today. I'm trying to get some ideas, running through learning the interface. But yeah, it seems like it's got the same capability as the CTX as far as programming. It's got notch discrimination. You can knock out what you don't want. You can do tone breaks clear across,
Yep.
the full band.
And for those of you that don't know what we're talking about on the tone breaks, Vic Tucker, Coin Whisperer, him and myself, we both had CTXs at the time. And Vic was going in there and notching the 1210 to 1213 or 14 into where the nickel range is into a high tone. And you could put that where it'd ring up like a silver quarter, And he was just digging high tones, but he wanted to dig the nickel signals too. So you're able to put whatever frequency of a tone that you want at whatever conductivity that you want there,
Right.
Well, see, I've never owned a CTX, and that was my question. So, that's pretty good. I like that.
There would be times whenever that would be great, to use. And I always ran my CTX in 50 tone because I liked hearing all of those tones, and I could pick out. Of course, I was hunting flat buttons basically, and I could hear a flat button in with a bunch of nails because it just had that certain tone, and it was dead on all the time. I could dig them in a bucket of nails. So I like the idea that 800 is the same way,
Yeah, and I've had that on mine. I had it set up, I think, in field 2, and it was either the first or the second day out, and I thought I was going to go nuts at all the tones I was hearing. I'm like, how does anybody stand this? Because I was used to just two-tone. It was either good or it was bad, and I could adjust it how I wanted to on the box of the MXT and run with it. This is more brain work, but it's going to be more powerful. I mean, if I want to notch out, 10 through 12 because I don't want to find little pieces of brass, I can crank that out, notch it out, and then keep going from, maybe 15 and up, which is nickel. You can get anything relic in that range too. But I was able to get through this field that we have been detecting. I've been in it for about, I want to say 10 years. I've been down there forever. And I've had my machine at this place, I don't know, 100 times. But I took the Equinox out there. I was just out there, just did a video on it. I was able to get through. I found the doorknob to a church that sat on that property in the early 1800s. The doorknob. I've been over that property hundreds of times with my MXT and never hit on that. I was able to get through the iron. I found the same day I found, a fatty Indian, an eagle scent, a thimble piece, small buttons that you could just fit on the end of your finger. It's just, this machine is just ripping it up out there. I'm very, very pleased with this machine so far. And once I'm able to get it programmed to my liking, it's going to be a relic killer.
Well, what really surprises me is what Evan said, that compared to the Deus, it's just got a lot more depth.
Yeah.
That's what we were seeing. Yeah. It seemed like it was holding its own. I mean, it was right head to head with the CTX and proved an advantage on gold. So yeah, it's definitely in the price. You can't beat it. I mean, I think the Deus with a 11-inch coil and wireless and everything will run you, $1,300-$1,400, and this one's selling for around $9,000, I think. So, I mean, to me, if I didn't have either and was gonna pick one, I think you get some good bang for your buck with the Equinox.
And from what I understand, they're going to put a 6-inch coil out in the spring to go with that, and then and then a larger coil in maybe July, I think Debbie said.
Yeah, 15-inch. I think they're coming out with, and then 6-inch little double D, which that'd be great plucking out corn shooting parks and sifting through iron.
We're running up.
So is the Equinox, is it a waterproof?
Yep.
Yes, to 10 feet.
Okay.
You could take it completely underwater.
10 feet. Okay.
Yeah, it's same as AT Pro. We're running up on about an hour and 15 minutes right now. Some of you may have some questions for Evan or Sam that we haven't asked. We'll open up the lines and let you get a call in here real quick if you want to. The number is 270-495-0315. Jeff, if you'll put that number in the chat. Somebody may have a question on CWPPO or the Equinox or anything like that. Just call in, and Skype's been working great for us here lately, so we can take your call and they can answer your question. If they can't, they're like us. They're ready. They can make up something.
Yep.
Evan. Go ahead, Jeff.
I've been noticing a couple of comments. Some storms are headed their way, so everybody be safe out there. So,
we got some high wind warnings.
Terrible winds.
Yeah.
We've had terrible winds here all day.
Too. I bet we'll lose a lot of trees. The ground's so saturated. I would imagine there'll be some trees tipping over tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, see, actually, yesterday, where it rained so much here, there was a big tree fell across from the house. So I got more firewood. So,
hey, that's a good thing as long as it missed the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, it missed the house.
So what are y'all? What are your? What's the long range plan for you guys other than marriage? Metal detecting wise, I mean, your long range plans.
Long range. I don't know. I do know that we don't plan on hanging up anytime soon. It's kind of our thing. It's kind of weird because I've tried lots of other things. Like I golf for a while, and you watch sports, whatever, but nothing really ever stuck with me. But this doesn't get old. Like, I mean, it's like almost like it's an addiction. It's like the thrill to hunt. I think we'll be doing this till we're old and gray. Just Ohio alone, the amount of history that's here, and we never run out of sites. I mean, it's not possible. It's there's so much out there if you're got your eyes open and you're looking for it. The other day we were doing some mapping and spotted a town. This town was taken out, I don't know, years and years back when they took the canal out in the middle of the woods. And we map it, and it's like there's a whole town, gridded houses, everything. There's nothing there. There's one farmhouse. That's all that's left. So we stopped out there earlier this week, and he said, have at it. So that site alone will be on for a couple years probably. But we always got places to hunt, and we're always lining up new sites.
And you guys have.
We got a Deus Digger. Deus Digger put in a question here. It says, "Best find other than Civil War artifacts, Sam and Evan." We discussed this earlier. Deus Digger. It was Sam's was the gold coin, and Evan he put Sam. So he said Sam was his favorite find. So.
Well, you got any more questions for him, Jeff?
No. Well, on average, how many people are at the CWPPO hunts?
Well, the first dig, it was a combination of the people that were coming to dig as well as other people that were interested in what we were doing. It was about 160. The 2016 dig, I believe, was about between 120 and 130. And then just last year, I think we were around 145, 150. So, local townspeople come in and talk. They like to listen. So we have big groups all the time. It's always fun. You know, you get people, you get the word out about what you're doing. That word travels, and then people are contacting you, you know, saying, "Hey, I have a site," or even if it's not Civil War. We were in New Richmond, and there was a gentleman that ran the Historical Society somewhere in the northwest part of Ohio. And he said, "Here, I'm the Historical Society president of this town. I'd love to have your crew in." And, you know, I still have yet to email him because we've been really busy with the project and other things that we were doing with the project as well. So I still even need to get a hold of him, but it always opens up doors. And the more you work with historical societies, you have better reputation. You have a lot of things under your belt. They trust you and they want you in. You know, you just do your best, you know, and follow, you know, Digger code, and just fill your holes. You know, be friendly, hand over anything that they want, and, you know, be on your way, and just, you know, do your best. You get some people out there that are hitting just parks in town, and they're leaving holes open, and there you go, you lost the park. You know, nobody else can be in there because of one guy left the hole open. So I can't stress enough to don't leave a mess. You take the trash and, you know, make it look like you were never there.
And you guys are you're kind of bridging the gap between metal detectorists and archaeologists with all the history and documentation and everything, and that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think last year we've really stepped it up with doing the GPS coordinates to, you know, pin and GPS coordinates where everything's being found. So I think a lot of people are gun shy calling up archaeologists. You know, they're afraid of losing their land, or they're afraid of too much state government involvement. I think in a lot of cases, we're a great fit for a lot of these smaller towns.
I think so too. And
I had.
Go ahead.
Well, I had. There's a university in Indiana that has been contacting me or trying to reach me for the past 2 years. They want in on what we're doing. I don't want any part of that, because I know that once you allow that type of archaeological type thing going on, they could seize land. And I want my landowners to know, you know, I'm not here to do that. I want to keep that possibility as far away from me as possible. And even if they come on and they sign, you know, papers stating that they won't, I'm still not comfortable with that. We're good. We're the best of what we're doing. We're not going to go in and just dig a 4 foot by 2 foot deep and do a square. We're scanning this whole ground. You know, we have the equipment that can do that. And I think they're running out of things for their college students to do. I'm not quite sure, but we're the best at what we do. And I know, I'm not saying that they can't do that too, but without our technology, you're only going to find something that's in a square. We can cover 500, 600 acres in a weekend with a crew of 200. You know, we can put together a story way better, in my opinion. I don't know. People can, you know, say what they want. I think that we have an advantage there. I don't include the archaeological side of it, because what we're doing is not what they're doing.
It's not, but...
You know, that's exactly right. I've had a couple of landowners here that I've asked permission, and first thing they asked me, you're not an archaeologist, are you? I mean, you're not going to try to take my land and all this. And then I was like, no. I said, I'm just a redneck with a metal detector. And then I said, I just like to find history. And they was like, well, yeah, that's fine. Go ahead. And then so... Yeah.
That's one of the biggest things I let them know right off the bat when I'm doing presentations or meeting with landowners. They also know that anything we find goes to them. You know, they can keep whatever we find. We just want to take photos and put the story together. Now, so far, for 3 consecutive years, all of them have donated everything that we had found to the museums, and that has been great. Now, the GPS coordinating is really well. It's great because we had a gentleman come in from GIS. He flew in here, I think in Nevada, but he ran the program He's a metal detectorist. His name is Ryan Kammerer. He came over. He set up the program. I had leads in all of these sections that were just recording things, photos, GPS. We were on a hill with 3 cell towers, so it was perfect. But down in a valley, like the first dig, we couldn't have done it there. There's no cell service. We actually had to go the paper route way. Here's a map, right on the map where you think you are. As long as we're within 10 to 12 feet of where you are, you're golden. You know, it's basically still going to give us a flow of the area.
Still tell the story.
Right.
And the camp here that I hunt, me and Jeff, in Tompkinsville, Kentucky, which was John Hunt Morgan's first battle, I GPS marked everything there. And once you get all of that done, I've probably pulled 600 relics off of that camp. But once you get that done, then you're able to go back and see a story there. You're actually able to see the battle line between Confederate and Union. Plus, you're saving that for posterity. You know, I mean, hundreds of years from now, people will be able to take my data and you know, they know exactly where everything was and what it was, because I put them all in Google Earth, and then I do a spreadsheet on it, what I found, and, you know, it's got the GPS coordinates. And it's a lot of work, but I think it's well worth it.
It is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, but it makes you feel so good to do it. I'm still putting the results of the 2017 dig together. We had 9 sections, and I have a large map, and I think I only have up to maybe section 5 done. I mean, there are a lot of entries. I have to go in and see what particular item was found, where it was pinned at, and who found it, add a photo, and record what it was. Now, I'm just in 5. I still want to get this done before I start planning the next dig, but it's such a lot of work. It really is.
I know it is. And if I didn't do mine almost on a daily basis at the end of the hunt, just go back in and log all that stuff in, I can only imagine how many hours that I've got into just one site, you know, which is probably, what would you say, Jeff, less than 10 acres?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I mean,
we had 300 plus the town. We got the town there, too. We were detecting.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
You guys got another question here from Desk Digger. Where would you, let me see. Where would Sam and Evan love to detect? That is on their bucket list.
Oh. Goodness. I actually have an area around Gettysburg. There's a friend of mine's sister owns, I think, a couple hundred acres, and it's absolutely the battlefield. It's her property, and that's my bucket list, and that's where we're going to go one day.
Okay, I'm ready to go whenever.
I'd have to see the White House lawn. I think that'd be a really awesome place to hunt.
There you go.
I think you'd be
Evan, I've never met you, but I like you.
He's got all the right answers, doesn't he? Well, I tell you
what,
sure does.
I tell you what, guys, y'all are doing a great work, and you know, just no doubt about it. Everything that you're doing it right, because people, like you said, are getting in contact with you and you know, asking for you to come there instead of you trying to get permission. So that's a testament to the way that you're running CWPPO. And like I said, Jeff and I are really looking forward to meeting both of you face to face. Looking forward to helping you with this project in the future. And we just wish you all the best of luck.
Well, thank you.
I appreciate
Thanks for having
it.
us
We'll
on
be
the
glad
show.
to get you guys up here. Yeah, all the best diggers. We'll have them here. Just watch for updates on CWPPO.org. You can check out the website, too, at Sam Waters, bio.jimdo.com. And then you can follow CWPPO on Facebook and Backyard Diggers.
Okay. That's all the information there. And you guys have been great guests. Any parting words there, Jeff?
No, just you've been a real great guest, and I hope to meet you face to face one day, and I can't wait. So, but
well, thank you again, guys.
Yeah,
Well,
thank you. Thanks for having us.
You both were great, and we look forward to seeing Evan get his gold coin, and Sam put up
Yeah.
more of those Knox videos. I'm trying to make that decision, and I'm kind of going to base it on some of your videos that you're putting them up. So just keep swinging that thing and keep putting up the video so that we can stay abreast of what you're doing. And
I will.
Okay, y'all have a good night, and we're going to close the show.
Guys.
We're going to close the show out. Before we do, if you like Metal Detecting Podcast, want to remind you that you can listen to Beyond Sight and Sound on Spreaker, American Digger Relic Roundup on Spreaker, and the History Seekers, they're on Tuesday night, and All Metal Mode and Hardcore Metal Detecting, and of course Relics Radio here every Thursday night at 6 o'clock Central Time, at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, and we certainly do appreciate all you guys in the chat tonight, and appreciate all of our international listeners that listen on the archives. So until next week, we bid you adieu from Relics Radio. Thank you for joining us tonight on Relics Radio. We certainly appreciate it. Be sure and join us live each Thursday night at 6 p.m. Central Time, that's 7 o'clock Eastern Time, here on Spreaker. Or you can catch the archive show at Relics Radio on Spreaker, iTunes, or iHeartRadio. Please take a minute and hit the like button, and be sure and follow us so that you'll get notifications of all of our upcoming broadcasts. You can also find us on YouTube at Diggin' with 7 or Tennessee Jeff. Or you can check out our Facebook page, Relics Radio. If you'd like to get in touch with us, then send an email to digginwith7@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. We hope that you'll join us next Thursday night, and until then, get out there and dig some history.